Hello, career and technical education teachers. Shannon Williams, and I am here to talk about the new components surrounding the work-based learning. What we've been trying to do with kind of these small video training series is to break out some of the changes for SIP self-review. So just to kind of recap, these were the old SIP self-review categories as far as what each CTE program was required to have. And then these are the new ones. So you'll see that the numbering order, there's a whole training video that will be coming out or is out already regarding all of these components and the new CTE portal. But today for this short video, I just wanted to focus on the work-based learning requirement and changes that affect your SIP self-review. Now, you'll notice that work-based learning has always been a requirement of career and technical education. It just used to live under this program delivery section. Now it has its own section. And as a result, the other thing that by pulling it out, OCTE, the Office of Career and Technical Education, they've also defined the different categories of work-based learning and did a really nice job kind of identifying the difference between career awareness, career exploration, career preparation, and career training. And I'm going to show you the template that we have now created for that, as well as how you can go deeper into those, dive into those definitions. So let me just talk about the change to work-based learning. So previously, we always had to do work-based learning. And what you would do is you'd have like a student roster, like each of your classes, and you would put in, and you would track work-based learning by the student, and you would upload that without student names into CTE Navigator. So that's how it was. Well, now, work-based learning has changed. Well, first of all, we're not using CTE Navigator anymore. So we are using the new CTE portal and GEMS, which again, there's a separate training on that. But within this GEMS system, the now requirement for teachers for the program side is for you to upload a work-based learning template that outlines the work-based learning tied to at the program level. So what work-based learning do you have tied in throughout your program? So for instance, you might have a year one program where you do some career awareness, maybe in like your accounting program. You have accounting 1, accounting 2. I'll use that as an example. And in accounting 1, you have a guest speaker that comes in, and that's career awareness for all students in that group. And then maybe in year 2, students dive a little bit deeper, and your higher level students go out and do some type of job shadow, or maybe they do a project with industry for career preparation. And that's that level of students. So the really goal and what OCTE is, the driving force behind this change, is because they really want each teacher in each program to take a look at really work-based learning as a whole systems approach to your program. How can you put it at different milestones and make it really relevant and make work-based learning a real part and a thought out part of your program? So that's one of the changes. The other component that it affects you, but it also affects your leadership as far as data entry into a program called CETUS. Now, you don't enter anything into CETUS. You don't have to worry about that. But all of your programs and your students go into this data system. And your CTE directors are going to have more information on that soon, and how we can capture the information that is needed at the student level really into this program. But we're waiting. You'll see kind of down here how I put, so what is required? Teachers, you're watching this because you're going to use the work-based learning template to outline your work-based learning in your program and what category it falls under. But with that in mind, we know that pending more information from OCTE and how this other data system is going to look, that eventually, if not this year, then next, we are going to have to upload into this data system. That's not new, but we've used this data system for years, the work-based learning at the student level, but we don't know what that looks like or how it should look. So I got together with some of the CTE directors in our county, and we came up with a template that we think is a good starting point that will make you compliant for your self-review and for that CO5 component, as well as position your CTE directors in a spot where they can upload the work-based learning for each of your programs into this system. So let me take a little look at the template. This is it just, you know, at a 10,000 foot view, but I'm going to go into and show you the template live. So here's the template. You'll notice if you've watched the advisory committee meeting or the safety training video and the templates that came out with that, this template is very similar, and we designed it that way so that, you know, all of our templates that are coming out from our county have the same type of flavor and look to them. So you'll see at the top, you know, this is your program work-based learning. You're going to put your district, your zip code, your school, your PSN, and the name of the program. There are instructions on this sheet that built in, and it basically says, using the form below, list all the work-based learning opportunities incorporated into your program intended for all students. Now we know that sometimes there's one-offs, and I'll talk about that, where a student might not complete something, but these are intended for all students. If you have students who do not participate, please list them in the last column. If all students participated, then an NA is sufficient, and I'll go through that. Courses can be listed more than once if they have multiple all-class opportunities. So if I go back to that accounting one as example, maybe I have a guest speaker first semester, I have a guest second semester. I can put in the same accounting course both time. Like I would put, you know, course accounting one, but my dates obviously would be different, and the actual speaker would be different, right? So you could list as many as you have for the program. All courses in the program should be listed at least once, if at all, if you can do that. Like you should be doing work-based learning at some level, even if it's at the career awareness level in your first year or your first course. But really the idea is to continually add and look at our program. So if I was to look at this and I would say, okay, I'll take that guest speaker idea, and I would say work-based learning activity guest speaker here. I would say maybe a branch manager from XYZ bank came in and talked to the students about the banking industry, right? This happened in my accounting one courses on this date that the person came in, and the type of it was career awareness, because that's a guest speaker. And I'll show you where these definitions are pulling from. So that's career awareness. All of my students were there, so I can put an NA. They were all present. So there was no student who did not participate in this particular activity. And that would be sufficient for that one. So then if I come over here and I say, yep, I had another guest speaker, I'm not going to fill it in completely, but another guest speaker, and I do the description. Again, it was my accounting one. Again, it was career awareness as a guest speaker, but I did have 2 students who weren't there. Let's just say, I'm going to give you a little Excel tip. If I I'll write out like Tim, right? Tim XSSS, that's his last name. Yeah, you can put a comma and then type the next last name, or a little Excel trick. If you press Alt, if you're in a cell and you press Alt Enter, you're going to get another line. Alt Enter gives you another line, right? So you could list your students out that way too. Totally up to you. Just giving you a little tip on Excel to get, because if you don't press Alt Enter, if I write Tim and then press Enter, I go to the next cell. That's just a regular enter. But if I'm in here and I do Alt Enter, I get a new line within that cell. Now, if you needed to expand, you just kind of drag along this side. If you need to add, like right now, I think there's maybe 7-ish, 7 or 8 lines for you. But if you need more, all you'd have to do is you come over here on the left side where you see the number 9 or 8 or wherever you add it, and you would right click on that number and you say insert, and it will insert another row for you. So just know that you can add in rows as you need them. So again, this top portion is probably the most important portion because this is where you're saying, these are the work-based learning activities that are built into my course. It could be maybe an exploration type of assignment that students have to do, or let me jump over to the categories. So you'll notice at the bottom, there's the first tab, your program work-based learning. And then on the second tab, these are the categories. And that's where that drop down was pulling from. So if you look at career awareness, a single day workplace tour, field trip, guest speaker, career fair, go to your parents' work type of thing, where they're just getting this kind of this overarching cursory look at, careers and a career in that field, right? Could be a lot of that usually is like done as a class. Then you have career exploration, and this can be a little bit more targeted, and that's why it goes to exploration, not awareness. You have things like mock interviews, job shadows, virtual exchange with a business partner. So a business partner is coming in, they're talking to students about a very specific component of that I as a student might be interested. I'm in an accounting class, but I really want to talk to an actuary. And maybe not all my classmates do, maybe like 5 of us over here do. So it's this exchange with us 5 talking to an actuary because I'm exploring that particular field, not the whole realm of banking, but that field of actuary. That would be exploration. So sometimes it can get fuzzy between the lines, but I encourage you just to look at, is this a targeted career exploration that is targeted for that student and that business advisor, or is it more all class informational? And that might be able to help you distinguish between career awareness and career exploration. Career preparation, this could be business partners coming into the class, working on an extended project with students, student organization type of moments where they're working on this project and the industry comes in at key intervals to weigh in, to give feedback, to maybe help them brainstorm different ideas. It's kind of career preparation. Career training is going to look a lot more like your clinical experiences, your things that require like your training agreement, and career preparation could too. So keep that in mind as well. But this is your traditional capstone project or capstone or co-op. We notice co-op, but they like to call it capstone too, where the student is out there working in industry. It is very much the student doing this internship on their own for their own learning. And that's career training. And then you see youth apprenticeship is obviously standard youth apprenticeship. So those are the different categories. So when you're over here filling this in and you're like, well, what was career preparation? What were they again? Just click over to that second tab and you'll be able to see the explanation. Now, also worth noting, I'm going to zoom out just for a second, is down here at the bottom. Now, this portion is optional. This is if you have students who are doing those individual experiences that are beyond the whole class. It's not built for the whole class. It's this student is going out. Maybe you have 5 students in your advanced class that leave school early because they do this experience. This is where you would list the students' names and what they did, the date. It could be a range. So for this, it could be first semester, second semester, they did this experience. And then this is where you'll find a lot of maybe the preparation and the training components, because maybe the awareness and exploration was a little bit more for all students in the program. And this is those students who are a little bit more advanced as far as the curriculum is concerned and are taking it a step deeper. Now there's instructions down here too, where it says this section is intended to list students who have had work-based learning experiences above and beyond what the class has had collectively. If you have nothing to report, just put an NA in the first cell. So that just means that all of your work-based learning happened for all students, was intended for all students throughout the class, which is up here. This is what we definitely need to fill out. And then this is kind of the one-off. And the reason we added this to the template is because it was a way to satisfy the coming data requirement that we know we're probably going to have in our CETUS data system, as well as what you need as a program instructor to capture your program level work-based learning. Now, again, excuse me, this is just a template. This is not the one you have to use. This is the one that, after working with some of our CT directors, myself and some of them are recommending this. I would say that communicate with your CTE director just to ensure this is the route that they want you to go to capture your work-based learning so that everybody's on the same page. The other distinction I want to make sure that I say is that this is, so when I was in your shoes, when I was a teacher, I taught accounting, I taught business, and I taught in digital media. So I taught web design. So those are 3 different zip codes. So I would have needed to have one of these templates for each of those zip codes. So you're not going to combine, let's say your accounting guest speakers, and I apologize, I keep using that same example, but that's my background. But I wouldn't combine my accounting work-based learning and then on the next line put my business work-based learning, because those are 2 separate zip codes with 2 separate PSNs. So you would have to have one for accounting, and then I'd have to have another one for business, and I would put the associated work-based learning associated with that program. So always think of it as, I have to build this for this program. I also teach in this program, so I have to build it for the other program as well. So make sure you don't combine zip codes. Each zip code is going to have its own work-based learning, just as each zip code in each program has their own advisory, and so on and so forth. So again, I hope that cleared things up as far as what your requirement for the 2021 school year is regarding work-based learning. Because this is a new, Perkins 5 has put new focus on this. This is subject to change in future years as we learn more and as we learn more about data upload. But this simple template to fill out and to be compliant for your SIP self-review and what will be needed to be uploaded into the CTE portal, this is what it is. So hopefully that helped. Please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, or even if you're struggling with manipulating the template at all, or things aren't working the way that they should, please feel free to reach out to me. My email is swilliams@misd.net. So I think most of you know that, but all right, have a great day, and I will see you in the next video.